Before this video starts, I would like to apologise for an editing mistake I made in the last episode of Music of the Week, that mistake being the most recommended albums, which I had to add in text because I forgot to say them during the video. Now, I specifically said the albums Arcade Fire, Fozzy and Puppy, but I didn't mean to say Fozzy, I meant for that to be Hailstorm, so pretend it says that for me. With that being said, please enjoy the video. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. We are one away from the best number, but now we have to get through the... Well, I was going to say the second best number, but my favourite number is 5. But yeah, it's not quite the best number, is it? We know what it is, but we have 5 albums to go through for this one, so let's go through them. We began our journey in Long Island, New York for Moontooth and their third album, Phototroph. I caught their last album back in 2020 and actually remember quite enjoying it, but I think I might like this one a lot more. It's the only A-related grade in this entire video, and it's also just an A. That makes it sound a lot worse, it's just an A. But no, this album is really, really great. I love the sort of stonery, sludgy, doomy vibes to the genty-ish sound. It's a very difficult one to describe. I very much describe it as an alternative metal sort of thing, with a sort of like good modern rock feel to it. It's got a lot of experimentation going for it as well, but it's also got great showmanship and really, really intelligent writing. There's tons of charisma just pouring out from this band, and yeah, I absolutely just fucking loved this entire album. I will admit I wasn't entirely sure on them after Crux, because I remember liking Crux, that's the name of their last album, and I remember thinking, can they do better? And they have. I think it might be because I'm a bit more used to the sound now, but yeah, you should absolutely finally listen to Phototroph. It's a really great album. It's got solid lyrics for it, really good performances as well, probably my favourite part of the album. It's got really great production as well. It just ties in all these weird sounds that normally wouldn't work all together, so yeah, go nuts with it. Next we go to Belgium, and I couldn't find a city or town specifically, for Redemption Denied and their second album, Where Dead Ends Meet. Now, there is a bit of ambiguity as to what their previous album was. All I know is that I didn't listen to their previous album, and this is their first album in either 8 or 9 years, depending on which source you look for. Very straightforward, heavy style of hardcore punk. And it's a style I like, and it's a style that's pulled off really well. I'm giving this album a B. It's an album that fires out right at the gate with that like typical intensity that you would expect from modern day hardcore punk, and it just like barrels through the songs pretty quickly, but it does keep the heaviness really... It keeps the heaviness up, and it keeps a really nice, consistently dark tone, which I do appreciate. I will admit the production on it isn't completely perfect. There are a couple of slip-ups here and there, but the band perform it really well. There's just some straight-up heavy riffs. I think the vocals are a bit too tuned down in terms of the production process, but I really enjoyed a lot of the album still, and I hope it doesn't take almost a decade for the next one to drop, because we need more hardcore punk artists from more European countries. I think Belgium is more European. I don't know. I'm an ignorant Britishman. But yeah, this one might be worth finding out for yourself if you want just some heavy dark hardcore. Next we go to Montreal, Quebec, Canada for Simple Plan and their 6th album, Harder Than It Looks. This is their first album in 6 years, and Simple Plan were a band that got me through a lot of my secondary school or high school, to any Americans who might be watching this video. And they're a band that do have a soft place in my heart. I know that like they're not the most over band in the world, but this is their first self-released album. It's also their shortest, and I'm giving it straight up a B+. It's got their signature catchy hooks and their usual tongue-in-cheek humour. Even though the youngest member is 40 now, it's still really good. It's still really well written. They're a band that have never really bothered to mature much, but they've never really needed to, and I do appreciate the energy that they showcase here. And it's also their first one as 4-piece after the whole thing with David, and if you don't know what it is, look at it for yourself. But yeah, I appreciate that Pierre is on bass again, because that works for me, and Jeff actually gets to do more guitar solos. Thank you. I love Jeff Stinko doing guitar solos. He's really great at them. And yeah, the band just works together really well. Just amazing chemistry and a really great album, so yes. Next we go to Sydney, Australia for Stand Atlantic and their third album, FEAR, which in the case of this album stands for Fuck Everything and Run. I actually quite like Stand Atlantic. I caught their last album, Pink Elephant. I have never listened to their debut, but I remember like catching fairly early and thinking, oh, these are a pretty talented bands. And this album is also just really great. I'm giving it a B+. It's a bit more experimental than their last one. In fact, of this, the previous album, the next album I'm going to be talking about, it's the most experimental pop-punk album I've heard this past weekend, which is not a long-lasting milestone if you really think about it, but there is a lot of really weird shit tried, and most of it actually kind of works. Bonnie Fraser is a very captivating and fun vocalist to listen to. The band members all riff off each other really well. I just love the fact that there's also a song that features Bonnie's mum. That just makes me kind of happy for a weird reason I can't fully describe. But yeah, it does have a look at the post slash currently in pandemic world and the anxiety and hopelessness that sort of comes from having to deal with it lyrically. And yeah, it's pretty good in terms of storytelling for that as well. Really great performances. I love the production as well. I do think that they hold themselves back a little bit even with the experimentation, but I think that they're going to stop being afraid soon, and I really, really think personally that they should switch to pure noise. I like Hopeless. I think Hopeless is a great place for Stand Atlantic. But I think Stand Atlantic have outgrown Hopeless now, so I would love to see them on Pure Noise. But still a great album, recommend checking it out. And finally, we return to New York in a weird bookend for State Champs and their fourth album, Kings of the New Age. Now, I've been familiar with this group since 2016, 2017. I didn't listen to their previous couple of albums. The last album I listened to of theirs before this was... Fuck, give me a second. Living Proof. Had to look it up there, but yeah, and I remember enjoying that. I also quite like Kings of the New Age, and it also gets a B+. Yeah, triple pop-punk albums, all three get a B+. Really enjoyed a lot of the aspects of the album. It's, again, just really catchy hooks, really fun stuff. Of the 3 albums I've talked about, though, in this pop-punk closing out trilogy of this 5-album video, it feels the least mature in terms of its lyrics, and it's not completely a deal breaker, but I get it, you know, ooh, girls yucky, play music to say who yucky girls are. It's that sort of vibe to it, but it's a very fun vibe for the most part, and it's not completely stupid in its delivery, and the band is still quite charming as well. This is their first album without Tony Rival Diaz as rhythm guitarist, which doesn't hurt it as much as I think people think it does do. But yeah, still with the band members left, Derek Discanio. Derek is still a really solid pop-punk vocalist, and this is a really solid pop-punk album, so there you go. And that will about do it for this video. That's another 5 albums gone through. As for what's next from me, well, because I always fucking forget to do this, my most recommended, I'll get through this really quickly. I would recommend checking all the albums out at least once, but Moontooth album Phototroph more than once. I really highly do recommend that the most. Now we can move on to what's next. So tonight I'm going to get the parts for the Go Home show for PPW vs AVW loaded up. I'm going to get the AVW half edited out because there was some fuck-ups on the stream, if anyone did watch the stream. And then later tonight, going to get the cards sorted for Deck the Brawls, which is going to be tomorrow night. And I've also got a ton of editing to work on for the Sunset Overdrive Let's Play still. So yeah, that's about my plans, and I will see you all tomorrow night for Deck the Brawls. As always, thank you for watching, you're awesome. Bye bye.